present, okay. Mayor Bogenreith.
Here.
Ms. Christensen, or Ms. Hoffman.
Here.
Ms. Bruhu.
Here.
Ms. Strain.
Here.
And Mr. Tucker.
Here.
All right, let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll look for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, approval of the minutes.
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Commissioner, Department Head, and Community Board report.
Well, I'd like to just remind everyone of the listening sessions on Wednesday, this Wednesday here at City Hall for the GOED is holding the listening sessions for the CDBG DR funding that's been made available in development of their action plan. There'll be a presentation of what the CDBG DR program is, what its objectives are, and then they will take questions and kind of try to hear from the elected officials from 2:30 to 3:30 and from 4 to 5, 2 separate sessions for elected officials, and then the community they'll have one for the community members from 5:30 to 6:30. Another note, Penrose reconstruction bid will be at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. And then we'll have a limited agenda next week on 9/28, the day after Memorial Day. I'm anticipating 3 items. One is to authorize the application to the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, and we'll talk about that, introduce that tonight. We'll have, hopefully have the North Shore drainage, temporary drainage issue that we talked about at the last meeting. It's something for you to review and approve there. And then a bid award for Penrose reconstruction. So we'll open it on Wednesday. Stock will review it, and then we'll bring it back to you for approval and get that project kicked off. So,
And where are the listening sessions?
here at City Hall.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay,
Rusty.
yes, Rusty.
You gonna skip me?
Snuck up.
Sorry, man.
He's a department head.
Sorry, Rusty.
All right, so last week I gathered up 21 side dumps of dirt from the city, come from the water treatment plant, the cemetery out of McCook, and behind the shop here. So that is at the end of Penrose, and it's free game for first come, first serve. I'm not regulating it, so I just want to put that out there that the city provided that for everybody at the end of Penrose. The water treatment plant in McCook, I got running on Wednesday and Thursday. We pushed water to the system on Friday, so the new plant is up and running successfully so far. So that's a good sign. And I'm aware of the water standing on North Shore because I've had 17 phone calls about it today, and we are working on that diligently.
I've had a few myself, yeah. Oh, I haven't talked about that yet.
All right. Okay, that's it for department heads. Just a reminder again, community input, if you have a topic you want to speak about that's on our agenda, you can wait for that item to come up. But if it's not on the agenda, you're welcome to come up right now and speak. If you could come up to the podium.
Olson, 19 Penrose, and I just want to say thanks for lots of dirt for our neighborhood. That was great, and really good communication with us about the water main. So we got that really quickly and knew about the road and water, and so that was great. So, thank you very much. Oh, well, one more thing. So I think this had come up a little bit, if we end up going with the plan to route water more to the north, and it would go around the bypass, there was maybe the idea of using like the required sidewalk, maybe that could be up and then provide like a, sort of like a levee situation. I think that had come up briefly at a past meeting, so I don't know if that would utilize, you know, the grading that has to be done for the road. I don't know. I think Greg maybe looked at that a little bit, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And the plans that we did see were a diversion channel as opposed to a levee,
Okay.
but just for your information.
I think it did have kind of a raised portion though to block the water though too,
Oh, okay, okay,
in the section cut.
okay. Anyone else? All right, move on to the agenda. Number one is McCook Lake mitigation. Introduction to the application.
So what I'd like to do here, you know, the application itself, as I said at the last meeting, is a little bit unwieldy for presenting. We should have a copy of it for review at the next meeting, but it will all be based on the scope of work from Stockwell in designing a choice that you make between the three, or maybe there's one we haven't looked at yet. So it'll be based on whatever option you pick, and this scope that he will talk about takes it from where we leave it off there all the way to design. So that's what that scope of work and the dollars that it takes to develop that scope is what we will apply for. And John will get into that. And then the second item within this, within the McCook Lake mitigation is the revised work order for the work that's been done to date on this project by Stockwell. It was presented at the next meeting, and he's taken it back and revised it to take out some of the design factors of that. The original scope kind of contemplated that you would have picked one by now and brought it to 30% design, and then we could apply for the rest of the design money. That didn't happen, and probably won't happen until later this summer, but to still get into the hazard mitigation queue, we need to apply by next week. So he's going to kind of talk about the revised work order that covers the work to date, and then he'll kind of go into the new scope, which is the introduction to hazard mitigation grant application. And then at the end, I'd ask the commission to consider the revised application for work done to date and the work it'll take to get you through picking an option. Does that make sense?
That was a lot.
Huh?
That was a lot.
There's a lot.
So let me just kind of wrap that up a little bit. And as you know, at the last meeting, we talked about what this scope of work would involve or was going to involve. And you've asked us to go back and revise that. And since we haven't made a decision on which alternative to move forward with. And so what we've done is we've taken out a portion of that work of taking it to the next level, which would be a schematic design. And so as part of this scope of work that we have here is we've modeled 4 different alternatives for hydraulic analysis from a drainage perspective. We've looked at what type of a channel we would need to convey that water into McCook Lake, or to convey that water westerly towards Mud Lake. And then what would it take to convey that water, continue conveying that water out of McCook Lake and into the Missouri River, or out of Mud Lake and into the Missouri River. So those are the alternatives that we've considered, 2 of each one actually. And so there's really 2 options that we considered going into McCook Lake, and there's 2 options that we're considering going into Mud Lake. One of the options going into Mud Lake has not been completed yet. We're still working on that, and I know Jeff had indicated this is what's done to date. We're not quite done with that. We do have that last option that we're considering for a channel that goes south through Mud Lake and continues south to Missouri River. But that fee that you see here, the $253,000, is to cover that work. And then if we were to move on to the next phase of that, would go into, once we've made a selection on which one of these alternatives you decided to go with, then there would be the other scope of work, which I don't know that you have it. Oh, there you go, Sesame Street. I don't think you have it, Amy. We've got a draft here, and it's, so I want to talk a little bit about that, because this scope of work here has 5 tasks to it, and then we pick it up from these 5 tasks. We can move right into the next phase. The next phase, and I don't know if you're applying for this first phase for the grant application as well.
No, we're
Not, okay, this will be our share, okay. So the next phase that Ross is showing here now is to take it from step 5 into the next phases, which would do the environmental assessment of whichever alternative we choose to move forward with. And I'll talk briefly about those. Are you on those, Ross? Can you move down to the tab? There you go. Schematic design. So what we would do is once we've decided which alternative to move forward with, then we'll know that we need to move forward with a schematic design of that option. We'd take that into the next phase, which would allow us to determine a cost estimate. And then we would also then have to do an environmental assessment, which is very detailed. We have to, make sure that we're not impacting wildlife and whether that's birds, fish, snakes, all that different air quality, floodplain. There's a lot of evaluation that goes into that, similar to what we've done with the North Shore bypass. So we have to go through that. That's not us. That's actually a subcontractor of ours, similar to what's happening with the levee project and the bypass. So that subcontract agreement would be entered into with them once we decide to move forward with that. We would also need to do a more detailed survey. So task 8 here is moving into a more detailed survey. Once we've selected a route and we've determined which alignment we're going to take, we have to do a more detailed survey. So we have to do ground shots. So far what we've done is LiDAR with a drone video. And so what you see here is that detailed scope that Jeff has asked us and you've asked us to put together. And then we would move into a design development. So this is kind of our early stages of design. We'd work into a 30, a 60, and a 95% design development phase of plans. So there's a fair amount of time that takes place there. We're working with the designers and making sure our detailed design is meeting the conditions set forward with the environmental assessment. And then we'd move into construction documents. That's our final phase of this next task, which would be a construction document set. And then from there, we would hold off until you're ready to move forward with a bidding phase. And then once you get into the next phase, we'd negotiate those final bid documents and the bidding of the construction documents, as well as inspection services and staking, so on and so forth. So that would be an additional scope, I guess, at this point. And so right now what we're looking at is, I call it the schematic phase, that we've been modeling these 4 different conditions. And that's what you would approve now, and more or less would be your costs, if you will, would be your proportionate share. And then you would be applying for this next phase for a grant for that. And so that's what the grant application is coming in. So you would be using this number to apply for a grant. We haven't finalized that. That's why you see this as a draft, because we don't have numbers from the subcontractors. We had to get an estimate so we could go forward. Once we have that final number, I would suggest we move forward with this number. And then once we get into the actual, if you get awarded the grant, then we'll detail that out and design and make sure we're dialed in. I feel comfortable with this number to move forward with. It'll likely be slightly less than this. So I wanted to make sure that we had adequate funds in there for the grant application. And Jeff and I talked briefly about that, so.
So one of the selling points that we're gonna pitch in this grant application is that locally, we're developing the concepts. We're paying for the concept design, we're selecting what we want as an alternative, and we're paying for that. The 1.7 million that's outlined here as a fee is what we would apply for. So basically, we would apply for 1.275 million in FEMA funds. The state would kick in 255,000, and our local contribution would be 170,000 in that 1.7 million. I kind of view this as somewhat of as a placeholder to get our name in there during this application cycle. There's going to be a lot of funding issues that we go through between now and whenever this would maybe get built, but this kind of gets us in line for that first step. Land acquisition, would that come in after this scope, or is that between 30 and 60%?
Next phase.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be part of this design phase, would
Okay.
be land acquisition, as far as preparing all the exhibits and things like that for the land that would be needed for the channels.
And would that happen between 30 and 60%?
Yes.
Okay.
It would happen sometime after the EA, but before the final bid set
Okay.
is completed.
Very similar to what we're doing for
Yes.
North Shore Bypass. Okay.
Yes,
I just wanted to make that clear to any landowners that might be listening to this is,
right.
again, we have not contemplated that part within our decision matrix yet. We're trying to figure it out hydraulically, and then that would be the next step as we get into the design a little bit to make sure it works.
John, would this include a public hearing prior, to help us select one of the alternatives?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
There's actually a couple of public hearings built into the scope of work of that.
Into the first one,
Yeah,
yeah.
To,
Into
to
the,
help us narrow it down to,
yeah. There's actually one in the first scope and then another one two of them in the second scope, actually, so. So there'd be, and if we need more of that, we can talk about that, more outreach to the public, because it seems like, you can't get out there enough to meet with them. So you may decide to, have more than just 3 meetings before you go out to bid. It is nice, though, that you've got a lot of people coming to your meetings, so that's good that these people are concerned and they're coming, the people that are here. So that gets the word out too, and your video and your meetings. That's nice. So then I'd like to go back and see, do you want to take action on the first phase of that? Is that what you're thinking?
so, yeah, there's 2 parts of this. One was, wanted to introduce this new scope to you and the $1.7 million fee as an introduction to what you'll see next week. But part of that from last week is to review this revised work order, which is in your packet. That was in the packet, correct?
Yep.
So that we can pay them for what they've already done and continue the concept development portion of this exploration.
So is there any more detail? Do you have any questions about this in more detail? I can go through it again if you would like.
So is that-
Amy, can you?
Is that the first scope or the
Yep.
second? Okay, so that's the first.
This is the first one. Yep, this is the correct. This is the one that you would be acting on now tonight if you wanted to move forward with that.
So the scope, the lump sum of this scope is 253,000. The last one was 313.
Yes,
The difference there is they took out any design work and are just focusing on concept development.
right. And added some more concept development.
and this does include the Mud Lake concept?
Yes, 2 of them in Mud Lake,
Because
yes.
the packet did not include that.
Can you go down to the last concept? The last page had okay, you're right. It includes 2 options to go into Mud Lake. We had originally submitted you an exhibit that showed going over to Mud Lake and then out, and we presented that at the last meeting. at the last meeting, we talked about adding another option to Mud Lake, which would be, we'll get it into Mud Lake, but we looked at, or we're still looking at another alternative to cut a channel through Mud Lake to get it south quicker so that it doesn't spread out so much in Mud Lake. That's the one that isn't done yet. And we're still working on that, and I'm hoping we'll have it at the next meeting, Monday or Tuesday. But I don't know if you want to present it then, or if you want to wait till June.
We're gonna wait till, once we get the,
But those are included in this.
Yes,
in
that's
this
what's
scope.
included in this one. I apologize for not getting you an updated exhibit.
I don't think doing nothing is an option. So I'd like to make the motion to approve the work order as presented with the contingency that the exhibit is updated to show
I'll get
all
that to you
options.
for the next meeting. It'll be as a attachment at your next meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
one
Okay.
last comment. I said this at the last meeting, and I just think it's imperative for everybody to know that we need to continue to develop as many options as we can. And one of those options, in addition to what John has presented here, is Union County and Mike Daly's group, who is continuing to push ahead a project with the Corps of Engineers through Senator Rounds' office. That's the mitigation that would maybe take effect further north with a diversion channel or something. That's the one that is asking the Corps to reevaluate the 1976 plan that's currently in place. So if we keep pushing as many options as we can forward, at some point I kind of see one will kind of get more traction than the other, or we combine them or something, but we just need to keep options open to try to find a solution to this and let the dollars play out and the solution play out over time. So Mike wanted to be here today to talk a little bit about the work his group has been doing, which I'm a part of that group, John's part of that group, but he was in Omaha at a doctor's appointment, couldn't make it. So I just wanted to mention that we're continuing to pursue all options.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next item, North Sioux City flood disaster repair work, Dakota Valley Elementary School parking lot. Look at the summary of parking lot repairs. So I understand that was used as a staging area during the flood.
Yes. And we, as part of the first, immediately after the flood event happened, I mean, that was the driest and flattest and nicest place to go for staging, and the school district was very cooperative and allowed us to use that. We tore it up pretty good at the south end of their parking lot, and on the west side, we broke some curb, and just because of the staging area there, we had a lot of materials coming in and out of there, from rock to pipe and things like that. And as part of the agreement with the school district is we agreed to repair any part that would be included as part of that west half of the parking lot, and then to do an overlay on that. So we'd repair it, plus do an overlay and do some striping. And so that's what this bid package is for. It includes $275,000 worth of parking lot improvements. It also includes, on this proposal that we're talking about here, is you had asked us to look at the costs to add an asphalt bike trail along North Shore. That asphalt bike trail is about $180,000, and that's what you will also be taking action on tonight. And it would be a deduct of $60,000 if you chose to just do a gravel trail. So we do have some dirt work to do in order to make that happen. A trail system at all through there. There's some areas where we've got some larger culverts. We've got some, when you drive through there, you see those concrete barriers. Well, those would have to go. We'd have to push more dirt into there. We've got some culverts, big pipe underneath there that we'll have to protect them, but then cover that up, and then we'll end up with building that out a little bit. So that's why there's a little bit of dirt work included in that estimated gravel, just to build that out. And then we would either asphalt, pave that with asphalt, or we would put a gravel trail down. So that's a decision that you wanted to make tonight. Or we could also just bid it accordingly and have it as a deduct option to deduct the asphalt off of the bid package. So right now, what we're proposing to do is put the parking lot out for bids. We would have included in there would be the grading and gravel and the asphalt trail and some repairs to North Shore. North Shore, we got a few areas there that are breaking up. I don't know if that exhibit showed up on here. Amy, can you flip through those? I can show people where that's at. So this is the parking lot repairs that we'd be working on.
West of the elementary.
The west side of the elementary school parking, that's why you see that in red there. And then go to the next one. So this one's a little harder to see, but you can see there's some different colored repairs that we've got proposed throughout that. The two lateral lines, some of that is repairs that would be done because we're going to put this storm sewer, these temporary storm sewer pipes in. So we've included the asphalt repairs on here, but not the pipe.
Not the pipe.
So since we got an asphalt contractor coming to do this work, we would do the asphalt repairs and any patching of North Shore as part of this. And then if you go to the next one, we're proposing a bike trail that would be 10 foot wide on the north side of North Shore. So that bike trail would include, some gravel underneath it, plus, the asphalt trail, a little bit of striping because we want to make sure we keep a separation between the kids and the street or the motorized vehicles. And so there would be a connection at each end. The east end, we'd tie into the existing concrete, and the west end, we'd also tie into the existing concrete. And so as part of this bid package, we would include the asphalt repairs in the elementary school. They would include the repairs to North Shore. They would include the bike trail addition. And then they would include a deduct alternate to remove the asphalt and just have a gravel trail.
Is the trail connected, like butted up to the road?
Yes, that's the least cost option. And if you want it separated, we'll probably create more drainage issues because in order to make that happen, we would end up with the water comes off of the roadway and there's no ditch there. And so we'd have to push that dirt out farther, build a pedestrian trail, a gravel path, and then asphalt on top of that. And in between the path and the asphalt, there would be water standing every time it would rain without putting the culverts in.
Is there any opportunity to use concrete barriers to separate?
We could do that, or put some, even just some delineators between the two would be probably easily done. I know that'd be difficult for Rusty to push snow in the wintertime. He would be, a little tougher there for him, but, we like making things hard for Rusty.
We could move those.
We could move them out in the wintertime, yeah. Because in the wintertime, we're probably not getting a lot of kids riding their bikes, but maybe they are. But we could just put some delineators, some candlesticks through there, just to keep a separation through this summer and fall. And then in the wintertime, just take the cones out.
The way John's kind of proposed this is, bid out the parking lot as the base bid, and that's something we know we have to take care of by the time school starts. And then the alternative, then you can also consider the alternative, and that's what the bike path is. Bike path, and then they can have it deducted to take the gravel out. So when we get these numbers in front of you, you can make those final decisions based on the dollars. And that seems to make sense to me.
Yeah, so you wouldn't actually have to make a decision on the bike trail, even if you're not, even if you decide not to do any of it, you could make that decision once we have the numbers in front of you, because we can maybe not add that asphalt or gravel even. Because if you choose not to do it, obviously you would save $180,000 on the bid package. And this is, chances are you're moving forward with North Shore by next spring. So it'd be about, 9-10 months of use out of the trail.
I just worry about it being too close to the road for the kids riding their bikes.
Yeah.
Because I see some of the people come down that road,
Yeah,
wow,
we're going fast.
yeah. And they're young, not paying attention, and
Isn't the width 10 feet?
Yeah,
So you have a pretty good size. If the kids can't stay on a 10-foot wide path, they need to go to 101 training.
you should see how many of them run off.
Could we spread some Jersey barriers out along there as
we could. I mean, Rusty, I don't know how many you have actually. How many concrete barriers? I mean, we can certainly add it to the project. Yeah, I'll do that. We can spread some out along there that would just be some concrete barriers that we'd then remove by the time we get to winter, because so that Rusty can push that snow right off to the side, if that's okay.
I
We can
agree, I
do
don't
that.
think there's many kids riding their bikes in the wintertime.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. So really, you're using this for spring, a month in the spring and a month, or probably 4 months, 5 months this fall. Okay. If you're okay, we'll, I think tonight we wanted action to move forward with the advertisement.
authorize
Authorize
that?
advertisement, sorry.
Nope, that's okay. I'm Anna Falk on 60 North Shore. My question is, why does it have to be a 10-foot path? Why can't it be an 8-foot path for the bike trail? Because that's pretty much what we had, right,
Yeah.
before?
You've got a 10. What we would do, the reason we need 10, I wouldn't want to go to 8, and the reason is because these barriers are going to take up about a foot and a half. And that wasn't the reason I had it. The reason I originally proposed it as 10, just so we could get the kids away from the roadway. We'll have a white stripe in between the two, but now we'll even have a concrete barrier that'll take up a couple feet there. Are you concerned that it's getting into your front yard there?
Yes.
It will be, it won't be any further north than what it was before. The permanent one that was there before.
Okay,
It won't be any farther north.
My next question is, I think you should do asphalt. It's easier to walk on, and it's easier for the kids to ride the bikes, where
Yeah.
the gravel wouldn't be.
Yep, that's a decision these guys
Yeah,
can make.
Good point.
Because
Good point.
the way it is right now, my husband can't ride his scooter on that because he needs, a better surface to ride his scooter on. And we like to walk, but right now it's kind of difficult because you take your chances walking along the side of the street
Right.
and that, so it would be nice if you guys would go with asphalt for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guess we'll look for a motion on that, and we can always come back to the bike trail costs later.
Yeah, I motion to authorize the bidding.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right. Next, we have library, introduction to our library.
Hi, Leanne Welty is our library director, and she has an agreement that she needs to get in place for the summer reading program. Correct?
Yes.
And then
Do you want to do that first?
No, I had asked her to also just give you a brief introduction to the library services that we offer, and then we'll get into that agreement, which was included in your packet.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Like he said, I'm Leanne Welty, and I'm the director over at your North Sioux City Library. And I've been in that position for 9 years, at the library for 10, and have seen growth in the library and enjoy all the new things that each year bring. And we, the staff there, truly enjoy being able to be part of the library. I guess some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, I put a pamphlet in the packet. It should be up there. Is it up there?
Yes, it is.
And some of the things on here, I think I'm going to use to kind of talk to you about a few of the details with the library. The library that stands where it's at now is the first library, freestanding library that North Sioux City has had. And so that's been there since 2013. Before that, it was connected with the school. And then between the school, between it being in the school and where it's at now, it was actually here at City Hall. I don't know for sure how many years that was, but for a number of years, you would come here to City Hall. So it was a great step forward when the library was able to have its own building where it's at in its location right now. One of the things that we have as a library is a board, and the board consists, you can see the names that I have on the board, they're also called trustees. We have 5 trustees that are appointed actually they were appointed by the council. They were suggested to us by other members and appointed by the council. What's missing on this one is the appointee from the council. It was at the time that this pamphlet was made, Joni Christensen. And so since the change in trustee to, or in the change from council to commission, that is one of the things that we're probably going to have to look at. We usually have a liaison on our board from the council or the commission right now. What the council does for the library is that they actually in South Dakota, the council is strictly advisory board. They conduct business according to the local, state, and federal laws. They determine and adopt policies to govern the operation of the library. They assist with budget planning and help in our 3 to 5 year strategic plan and goals. They help participate in activities to help achieve what they do is they participate voluntarily in education programs so that we as a library can achieve the status of accreditation. And we've done that for the last, that's every 3 years, and we've done that for the last 9 years. So our next accreditation, when it is up at the end of this year, 2025. So that status is directly connected to the commitment of the trustees and their education and making sure that we are current and that we have a current role in the library world. The role of you as a governing body, you provide our funding, you approve the budget and resource allocation, you supply the building itself, and you ensure that our building is up to date, and you support us with our employees. We as employees are employees of the city. The value of the library to the community, I think, is immense. There's educational opportunities. We have a lot of online programs that we have associated with our computer system in the library. What this does is it helps, there's different programs. This year was a tough year for libraries because the state library itself was attacked and threatened with being actually disbanded. And so there was a lot of librarians and libraries that came together to get that reversed, and that seems to be what's happening right now, that it is going to be, that we're still, as South Dakota, are going to have a state library. They are the ones that support all of our online resources. We have databases that help with college prep. We have training on those databases and all sorts of different what is so great about these databases is that we know that they're safe, we know that they're unbiased, and we know that they have quality information. It's just not going out on the web and getting any information. It is tested and true. Libraries provide educational equality to our community. Our library does. We have the materials that are provided through the library ensure that every citizen or student that has equal access to quality material, no matter what their economic status is or their educational background. And I think that that is key. It levels the playing field for all citizens and all children. They are able to come in. There's no fee for them to use our computers. It is completely accessible to the community. Our programs are tailor-made to help prevent summer slide. What we are going to vote on tonight is part of an activity that we're going to have to kick off our summer reading. And for us, summer reading is very important. It brings the community together. It brings kids out. It brings kids and makes them excited to read. Last year, we had over 2,300 books read in an 8-week period, which figures out to be about 45 books a day for that 8-week period, which I think is very successful. That is very impressive. Some of the programs that we have at the library, we do a lot of proctoring in the summertime. There's students that are home for the summer, but they want to continue their education, and they come to the library, and we set up proctoring for them. We have clubs on and off, book clubs on and off the property. We have Lego clubs that help the kids do collaborative working together. We have crafts for children and adults. We have Adulting 101 classes, which maybe we should get the one that you guys were talking about, 101, staying on the sidewalk, I don't know. Maybe we could include that this year. We've had babysitting classes, CPR classes. We have a lot of early literacy, interactive play. We have community outreach for young adults. And we have teaching of life skills to all ages. And that's just a little bit of what we do. And on the pamphlet, you'll see where it says circulation. I just kind of want to point that out, and if you guys haven't, I'll just do a little bit of that because this is what we do with a lot of our day. You might have questions on some of the statistics that are in here, but everything that we do at the library is documented and counted. And so from that, all of that, the records that we keep all year long, I have to fill out an annual report. And from that annual report is where this pamphlet has come from. And so looking at circulation, we have the books in print. Just last year, we circulated 41,222. And what I want to tell you about that is times that by 3, because that is how much our staff handles those books. The people are checking them out. The people are checking them in. We're washing everything. So we are a small staff, but we have to do a lot of handling of these books. The e-books, you can see that's getting very popular. That's over 10,000. Non-print, that is things we have, early education toys is what I would say, but they're interactive play. And we have that just shows you how often the kids come in. There's over 3,000 times that these kids came in, and they love to meet at the library and have a social time with their parents, and also other kids that come. There's programming here that you can see. There's library visits, and then physical, what we have at the library. So out of all of this, if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer any, if you need anything clarified or would like more information.
Do you know how many members you have outside the city limits?
It is about half. Okay, when you see this, I think somewhere it tells right here, the number of members that we have is 1,649. Do you mean non-residents?
Yes.
It's about half, 50-50, so about 800
And
residents and 800.
They pay membership?
They
fees
do.
to
They pay a
belong?
$40 non-resident fee. That is confusing for citizens because the U.S. Post Office has issued, they put on Dakota Dunes, the Big Sioux Township, the mailing address is North Sioux City. And so everyone thinks that they belong to North Sioux City. So then we have the unfortunate task of telling them that they have to pay a non-resident fee because their taxes do not come directly to North Sioux City. So it's confusing, but even at that, people come and they really want to be involved in the library.
Well, I would encourage you, if you haven't been in there much, to go. I didn't realize how much is actually in there and what there is to do in there until I started visiting with Leanne over there and stuff. So it's a nice place. So
Thank you.
the agreement is mainly an indemnification agreement.
I'd be happy to explain that a little bit further. If you want to prep and talk about your
No, I'll
summer
just-
reading.
I
okay.
can sit down or I can stand here.
You can stay and answer any
Okay,
questions
all right.
maybe that people would have. But there is a summer reading kickoff that's being planned for June 5th. And part of the activities that Leanne and her staff have arranged is a color run that will extend out off of city property and onto the property of Avalon Enterprise. And so they have been very gracious in approving that or allowing that to happen, as long as we did a couple of things to make sure that they didn't have any increased liability or issues because of allowing that permission. So one of the things that we did was to develop a participant kind of registration and release of claims that would include both the city and Avalon Enterprises. And their attorney had prepared an indemnity and release agreement, which they've asked us to sign. And that essentially is just making sure that any issue that would happen because of an event that we sponsor and have on their property, they would not have, be able to have any damages assessed against them just by agreeing to have that there. So it's a pretty standard indemnity and release agreement. I did not make any changes from what was proposed by their council. And I would recommend that the city commission go ahead and make a motion to approve the indemnity and release agreement and authorize the mayor to sign that.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Opposed, same side. Thank you for
Sorry.
your presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne.
All right, appointments. So we had a presentation, I think last week, from Simcoe Board of Directors, and they're looking for one of our commissioners to serve on the Board of Directors, and they said to usually have the Finance Committee person be the same person. And I guess I would like to nominate Julie. You're shaking your head no. I would like to nominate Julie for that position.
Good.
And
Great.
I'll second that.
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And then I'm going to be gone. I guess every time there's an absence, we have to elect someone to take my spot. So Julie has agreed to do it, and so I guess I would motion to have her take my spot on.
Yep, second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
It was the 16th, right?
16th is
I
correct.
think I may have mentioned a different.
All right. Thank you. Planning and zoning.
Just,
Oh,
do we
sorry.
have two different appointments for Simcoe?
Actually, it would be the same person.
It's the same
Serving
person,
as
so we're
both.
good? Okay. That
So
works.
you have two jobs now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, moving on.
Make sure that gets worded correctly in your minutes there.
And planning and zoning, we've got a couple plats here. Ross?
All right. Got two plats for you guys tonight. They're kind of interrelated. So we'll go over this one first. This is a plat of Mora Tract 1 issued by Lakeshore Estates LLC. It is a piece of the remainder of Lot 8 and Tract D. So if you look at this exhibit from Union County's Beacon website, you can see there's kind of two pieces highlighted in that light blue color. There's a piece along Sodrak Drive, and then there's a piece further north along Streeter Drive. So what this plat is doing is separating those two parcels and establishing Mora Tract 1 as the south piece only of what you see up there. And this is going to be part of an agreement with Lloyd Companies LLC for their conditional use permit and eventual apartment complex that's going to go along Sodrak Drive. At the last planning and zoning meeting, the conditional use permit was approved. They have not submitted for their building permit yet, but we expect that to be coming potentially at the next meeting. So once again, this first plat is just to establish kind of the south piece of what you see above as an individual parcel. any
So
questions.
then, this becomes not part of TIF number 4? Is that what is it taking it out of TIF number 4?
It's not taking it out of the TIF area, it's just kind of separating those two parcels because this parcel that's more Tract 1 is going to be transferred to Lloyd eventually.
That will still be part of the TIF, but it wouldn't have received any benefit from it, but it will pay
Well,
towards the
correct.
TIF, yeah.
Well, that was just my question, whether or not it was still part of the TIF.
Yeah, I believe that Lynn so that blue square on the south end, there's a vacant piece of land south of that, that's outside the TIF.
Yes,
Yep,
correct.
yep. Any questions for Russ? I'm gonna abstain on this. I'm a member of Lakeshore Estates LLC, so I'm gonna abstain from discussing this one. And, but we'll let you guys, take
I'd
this
make a
forward.
motion that we approve the plat of Mora Tract 1.
Second.
Well, is that?
Yeah.
Is that just what we're moving now is the
Yes.
Mora?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, Julie seconded. Any other discussion on that? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and I'm abstain. And then move on to Lakewood plat.
Okay, the second plat is Tract 1 Lakewood Edition. So this is plat submitted by Lakewood Apartments and Townhomes LLC. They're submitting this plat to combine essentially 3 parcels that will be transferred and there we go. So the Mora Tract 1 that we just approved is the north parcel within this new tract. Then there's a remainder of Weinberg Tract 1, that's kind of the centerpiece, and then there's this Lot B that's on the south end. So this Tract 1 Lakewood Edition is taking those 3 parcels and platting them together so that when Lloyd comes to build their future apartment complex, that it's all contained within one lot. And this is all part of the transfer agreement with Lloyd.
So it all becomes one tract.
Yes, so we kind of clean up all the additional, extra lines. So this plat, if approved, would not be recorded until Mora Tract 1 is recorded. Because if you flip to the second page of this document, you can see under the owner's certificate, go up just a little bit there. So the bottom of the owner's certificate is vacating those previous plattings. So you can see Mora Tract 1 is the first item, then Weinberg Tract 1, and then a portion of Lot B. And so the book and page number for the Mora Tract has to be included in this. So we're going to hold on to this essentially until the Mora plat is filed. If this is approved, then they would record the book and page number and then file this one.
I'll make the motion to approve Lakewood plat as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I'll abstain. For the same reason. All right. Then number 3 is authorize staff to sign stormwater agreements on behalf of the city.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a memo that got in there, but I'll kind of go over the stormwater agreements. So in the past, when developers with a detention pond at their property, when they have a detention pond, they're looking to hook into the city's stormwater drainage system. Per ordinance, they've been required to enter into a stormwater maintenance agreement with the city. From what Stockwell and I have been able to tell, ordinance doesn't require this agreement to go in front of previously the council, but the commission, but in the past they have. Then the council or now the commission would approve, the mayor would sign. But what we're requesting is that the commission, they grant their blessing for the city administrator to execute all future stormwater maintenance agreements. You can see the agreements in here. That's the blank template of them. They're pretty straightforward agreements, allowing the city administrator to sign off on it. It'd just be more efficient for everyone, for the developers who are looking to develop property in the community, for staff preparing commission agendas, for you all. Just, again, it's just a pretty straightforward agreement. I think it makes sense for Jeff to be able to sign off on those. Just makes things, again, more efficient for everyone.
I'd recommend that we add that to your, as an ordinance change to authorize the city administrator as part of that. So you're not doing that here in one meeting for all future agreements.
The ordinance doesn't say the city has to approve it either, just the city. And I think we're just.
Yeah, it
asking.
just says
I'm just
North-
saying when
it
you're-
just says
when you're
North Sioux
binding-
City, so it doesn't say the
And
commission.
the
or
city
council.
administrator is going to sign an agreement on behalf of the city. I think let's spell it out in the ordinance so we have that
So
specifically.
bring it back as an ordinance change.
I would, if you're asking for the approval of this agreement with the developer for today, go ahead
No,
and
it's
go
just
forward
a
with
draft.
that.
That's just a blank document.
And then we do a couple readings on it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
What's
it's
your
not like
timing
an
on
urgent.
Yeah, it's nothing urgent. We just have been working through a number of construction projects. Like we talked about when I was here last meeting, a lot's happening as we've come across, these stormwater agreements, have been working through them. It's like, geez, why do we have to, and you guys have a lot of bigger issues to deal with. Why are we bringing all of these kind of basic, straightforward stormwater agreements to you all the time? It just seemed to make sense to be able to just have Jeff do it. It's not urgent. We're just trying to
Make things
clean
more
up a little bit.
Do we need to make a motion to have you draft language for
Sure,
us to
you
let-
can do that.
Okay.
Provide direction.
If you guys are okay with that, maybe we look for a motion to have Sarah draft language to accommodate this.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, thanks, Andrew. Water treatment plant expansion, a change order and a pay estimate.
So what you have in front of you is a change order number 5. If you could scroll down a little bit. Change order number 5 includes a couple of things. The first item is RFP number 7, and we also included RFP number 8. These items include, we added some additional lights, or we want to add some additional lights in the old treatment plant area. It's kind of dark in some of the back corners, and so as part of this, we've added some lights is what we would include in here. We've also included, we had some, part of the control system didn't communicate with one of the other electrical panels. In order to do that, we have to make this change to the electrical, the VFD side of that, and that's where you see that $8,000 add. So we had a $5,000 credit, and then we had $8,000 add. The add includes some electrical controls, and it also includes the lights. So as far as, we are also returning some of the credit from another, one of the electrical adds or items that we had in there that we were able to clean up. It's kind of a messy RFP and change order, but it increases the dollar amount by, I think it was $6,000 total, wasn't the change order? And we'd recommend approval of that. We've talked this over with Rusty, and we've talked it over with Jeff, and we'd recommend moving forward with the change order. This brings us to about 1.8% of the total project cost in change orders.
So
If you were wondering.
Can you just explain, like, why was this not added, or, is this something that they messed up on, and we gotta go back and fix it?
These are added items, they're added items and deducted items from the project. So as part of the bid package, there was unforeseen items, or we didn't catch the controls part of that. There's a control, the electrical controls have to speak to the electrical system and the pumps and the controls, and that, part of that was not included in the bid package, and so that's where the discrepancy was on the, call it the discrepancy if you would. But then also through the process, we've seen a need to add some lights in the old part of the treatment plant. It was dark in there, and so we've upgraded the lights and we've added some other lights in there. So that would be part of that. So that was something that was value added, so.
I can understand the lights.
Yep.
I struggle with the electronic stuff. I mean, should that not have already been in there?
Um,
I mean, somebody had to miss that, right?
It was probably missed on the electrical engineer side of that, but some of these things aren't that easy to see in the old system versus the new system when we're adding old system and new system controls connecting to it. But yes, ideally, we would have caught that and it wouldn't have been a change order. It would have been included as part of the bid package. But in this case, it didn't get added, so it was definitely not in there from the contractor's perspective. So from the contractor's perspective, we feel that this is, we need to add this change.
And I get that.
Yep.
I mean, if they were supposed to be bidding it and they missed it, I mean, should
Nope,
that not be
that
on
was
them?
it was not included as part of the bid package. So this is something that we've asked them to add or change so that they do communicate.
And it's something, I mean, being a design professional myself and running into situations like this, if we would have bidded underneath the original project, we would have been paying this amount as
Yeah,
well.
Exactly.
So we're just adding it now instead of
Yeah.
in the original bid.
Yeah, it's value added. I mean, if we don't do it, first of all, they don't communicate, so we need it. Had we had it in there, it obviously wouldn't be a change order. The cost would have been included as part of the bid package, so.
All right. That's separate from the pay estimate?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess we're looking for a motion on change order number 5.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Pay estimate number 16.
So pay application number 16 is just, basically, it's a monthly pay request for work completed. We still are holding retainage, and we'd recommend approval and payment.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. All right. Jeff, you might want to give a summary of, we're going to do a financial report, but maybe a little background on,
The financial report.
yeah.
One of the things that we've been trying to do over the last couple of months is provide you an understandable financial package so you understand the finances of the city without inundating you with I think before the last reports were in excess of 30 pages. So what Amy and I have been trying to do is just boil this down to the things, the cash on hand, the income statement, and the balance sheet, and then also a statement of cash flows, the basics of a business, any business would have in their books. Governmental accounting is a lot different than business accounting. It's just presented differently. It can be difficult to understand. So we've been kind of going through and trying to provide more understandable reports, not only for you, but for the public, so they can look at it and understand where the money's going, what we're charging for water and sewer, for example, is that adequate? That kind of thing. So over the last few months, we've been developed this, and it's still kind of in a development phase. So as Amy goes through these and you see some things that you would like to see differently, maybe make some suggestions on how to improve the readability of the documents. And we'll do this every month for you so that you can have a good understanding of where the finances are.
Yeah, and we built some time in here, so if you have
As
questions.
the only person coming back from the old council, this is wonderful, because I know that it was very difficult for everyone, and if you do not have any financial background, it was almost impossible for everyone. So I find this is great.
So Amy, do you just want to go through them?
Yeah, so from March to April, we had about a $500,000 increase in our cash balance. Now, this does show everything, and we're starting to separate out stuff that is not spendable. And on here, that's $822,000 that we've received for flood items that the work's not done for yet. As we develop this a little bit more and get everything separated out and start paying our loans back, there'll be more stuff as far as any surcharges or just money allocated from the utilities accounts that are needed to pay back our debt.
So when you look at those cash numbers, within all the numbers all the way across there in every account, a lot of that was generated by depreciation, charging for depreciation, but that's not a cash expense. So when you look at these numbers, we're going to try to segregate that out for you so you know when we collect on water and sewer, for example, a portion of the rate that you pay is depreciation. And so we want to set that depreciation aside and not use it for other things other than asset replacement. So when you look at this, you say $7.4 million total on hand. A lot of that or some of that should be dedicated towards asset replacement. So we want to try to segregate that stuff so that it's not just viewed as spendable. The second part of that is debt service is another thing that we want to be able to designate. Some of these dollars were collected for debt service. It'll have to be used for debt service. If and when we implement a surcharge to pay for debt service, that'll stand alone in a separate account, only to be used for servicing debt. So just from some perspective for that cash sheet, it kind of shows you overall the cash we're gaining or using in a month through the graph at the bottom, but just know that as we get into the reporting a little bit more, we'll segregate off some of that so you can see what's kind of already committed to future events.
Okay, then we had the statement of net position for you, which actually didn't change a whole lot from March to April. It was kind of just a normal month. We have the same interfund loans. It's just really normal our operating expenses for the month.
So when you look at the purple and the green could you scroll down just a little bit? The water, 521 water upgrades, 525 sewer upgrades. The water upgrade is the water treatment plant. The sewer upgrade is the Southwest Lift Station. So as those projects complete and phase out, they will be brought over to the water and sewer fund and show up as assets. And the depreciation and all that stuff will kick into the financial statements once they're completed. And the Southwest Lift Station should be very close sometime in the next couple of months. We should be able to move that over. The water will probably be later in the fall, the water treatment plant, by the time that gets all streamed right.
We originally put together an income statement for you guys, the same format as the balance sheet and the cash flow. Then after talking through some stuff today, and Jeff asked me some questions that this doesn't really give an answer to. So what you'll be getting going forward is monthly activity for each of, a little bit more papers for you, but I think it's going to show a little bit more. So this, for instance, is part of the general fund stuff, and it shows by month what came in for the income or what the expenses were. We look at,
Maybe go to the water and sewer one once, the water or sewer.
yeah, here's sewer. So what Jeff asked me today is, whoa, we lost money in April, $88,000. How is that? Because it hadn't happened before. This gives you an opportunity to look line by line and see what changed. And actually in April, we started paying back our quarterly loan payments. So there's $80,000 down here that we haven't paid back before. And also we have $60,000 in repair and maintenance. So we had some Southwest Lift Station repairs that were big for the month. So it gives you a little bit better picture, better idea of what to ask questions for even.
How old is the Southwest Lift Station?
That's not, it
At
was
the Southwest, Suncoast.
Suncoast Lift Station. She misspoke. It was
Okay.
Suncoast.
I was gonna say, we're not repairing that one already, are we?
It was a Suncoast.
Suncoast.
Good catch, though. They're listening.
Hey, well, listen,
Yeah, can't pull anything over, can you? Oops. So you'll get that going forward, and then the last report that you got was the cash flow. So normal operating cash flows for the month, we're at a bit of a loss. But overall, we were positive 500,000, a little shy of 500,000.
Yeah, and it'll be important for you to look at the whole year because certain months we hardly get any property tax. And then in April and May, or May and June, I think we get a lot of property tax. In November and December, we get a lot of property tax. So if you look at those months, it looks like we're taking out a lot of cash. But in reality, we're just using it for the other months where we don't get it. So
And
I think as you get into this and get a feel for it, you'll really be able to go right to where you feel like you want to see, and you'll be able to tell what's going on.
And this section here, this cash flow from capital and related financing, it can really paint a different picture other than what's happening day to day. So, for instance, in April, we got almost 900,000 in FEMA reimbursements, which put our cash out, but wasn't normal and shouldn't be expected every month. We have already this month, though, received, was it 1.9 million in FEMA reimbursements, so.
and we haven't had any hiccups with federal reimbursements thus far?
No.
Okay.
The big reimbursements we have is, we have one on, for Penrose, or for uncompleted utilities, which is a big number. I think it's like 1.9 or 2 million, maybe 3 million.
1.8, yeah.
And then also the Federal Highway Administration is gonna be about 7. Isn't that what we came up with today?
Federal Highway will be 7 eventually. Spent so far is 3.5. And then the 3.7 is the permanent repairs that aren't done yet.
I meant to ask, when we were talking about parking lot repairs, North Shore repairs, bike trail, is any of that eligible for matching?
Well, John just stepped out, but
We reached out to both FEMA and Federal Highway to see if any of those repairs would be eligible. They essentially told us no. So we asked about the trail system being added to the north end of North Shore, which that wasn't approved. The additional drainage improvements we're doing on the interim, that would be under Federal Highway's kind of area of responsibility. And they said that would not, they wouldn't pay for those. And then we also asked about the parking lot repairs that we already knew kind of going into this we were going to have to take on. And they said no on that. And we asked both FEMA and Federal Highway on the parking lot side.
Okay.
So.
So if there's any other way or anything you'd rather see differently, let us know.
I think that'll be good.
All right. We have an application for abatement we need to take care of, Jeff?
Yep, just one more came in, so.
Okay. And that's tax abatement through the county?
Right.
Okay. Let's see. So there's a parcel number there, it's $271. Guess we need a motion to approve that abatement.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. And then we'll move on to approval of bills.
I need to abstain from the approval of bills because since I was a planning and zoning member, I'm part of that direct reimbursement on those, so I'll be abstaining.
Okay.
So moved to approve the bills.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
All right. You got it. Last thing, we are going to go to an executive session to discuss a personnel issue. So we do that, we need a motion to
Yeah.
move into executive session?
I can just speak to that
Okay.
briefly. Usually, as you've experienced, we do the public's business in front of the public, in public meeting. South Dakota law provides that there are very limited circumstances under which we can go into executive session. And we do have one of those items to discuss with you tonight. And so the process for us doing that is to pass a motion that specifically references the code section that we are going into executive session for. And once that's approved, then we retire into a meeting room behind the meeting area here. And then we would only come back out after that session is concluded. We can only do action items here in open session. So if we had any after that executive session, we would do that. And so the meeting will return to being public at that point in time, and then of course to adjourn. So at this time, we would just need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25.2, subsection 1 for personnel issues.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Jessica, second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Okay. Jeff, you didn't budget any minutes for this. 10 minutes?
Nobody follows the
All right, back in session, so since there's no further action, look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.